Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All coming to you from a very, very windy Athens, Georgia, the eye of the hurricane, such as it was left. Hurricane Helene went over us a couple of hours ago. It wasn't light outside, so I couldn't really do a full self-driving test, but this is full self-driving 12.5.4 on our Model Y, which is hardware 4. And I did, 2 days ago, I did one on hardware 3 on our Model 3, and I have not even posted that one yet. I think I'll do this one first because it's got the hurricane in it, but I'm going to test it out versus the hurricane, and we're going to see how it does in highly adverse weather. It's quite windy out, but you know, other than that, seems to be okay. If things become too dangerous, I obviously will, you know, I'll fix it. So anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do is put in Dollar General, 4640 Athens. How many? Yep. So we're going to go, then we'll do our left-hand turn, and this has the sunglasses monitoring, so that's available. Interesting. It says full self-driving may be degraded. So, okay, doesn't seem to want to start. Let's see if I give it a little push. Okay. I don't know why. Decided it just was not going to do it. Anyway, beautiful horse farm. I just came down here to check. It seems like things didn't get flooded out. Man, we got a ton of rain. Also cold, so forgive the fact that my my voice is not the greatest in the world, but that'll be okay. So anyway, we're going to go to Dollar General and make that left-hand turn, and then I'll plug in some other destination close by, and then I'm going to go back to Anytime Fitness because I'm obsessed with working out. So what can I say? Working out in a hurricane. I mean, the worst of it is past. It's over. The eye of the hurricane has passed over us at this point. So a lot of wind on the back end, but there's a lot of downed trees apparently. My son and my ex-wife are out of power, so actually they were supposed to buy one of these themselves, but my ex-wife has problem. So anyway, she's in anyway, she needs a battery to like get on the chair so that it can go up and down. So anyway, so yeah. So we will see, but clearly things, I can see there's a lot of brush around, and you know, we're 350 miles or so inland from the Gulf of Mexico. I never have done it as the crow flies, but that's somewhere about right. Okay, well, you can see right here, we've got, even here, there was a lot of wind last night. There was a tree falling and a ton of rain. I mean, it just poured for a couple of days. So the big problem is that loosens up all the roots in the trees, and then you get the wind and everything, and that can cause it to become problematic. Wow, really, really long stops and very, very tentative. Now, I mean, it is saying full self-driving may be degraded, so it's, you know, it obviously is a little bit more hesitant. Okay, well, our first unusual thing is going to come up here where it looks like we have a power company truck that is up at the edge of the neighborhood. We did lose power sometime last night. I was asleep. It went on about 3 o'clock in the morning. I know because the clocks reset, and they were, you know, they started 12 o'clock midnight at that point, so it was obviously wrong, but I was able to time when the power came back on, but I don't know how long it was out because I was asleep at that point. So let's see how it handles this guy. It looks like he's just about to leave, so we might get lucky in terms of that, but let's see if it decides it wants to try to creep. Okay, this is actually interesting. All right, so the guy's leaving. Unfortunately, I was like, if we'd gotten here like just a half a minute earlier, we could have dealt with that. So good for Walton EMC for being out here and working early in the morning. That's good on them. And yeah, it actually looks pretty clear, relatively speaking. Obviously, still some rain coming down. Nothing like we had yesterday. We were driving around. We had to do some grocery shopping and stuff. Made chili last night. Yummy. It was very good. But man, it was just pouring then. And so, you know, just the run from the parking lot into Walmart, you're just completely soaked. But now it's mostly just, it's not even that windy at this point. It was a lot windier a half an hour ago. I think, I don't know. We'll see. It'll probably come in bands, because it looks like at something like 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, it's supposed to be sunny and beautiful. It's the way it goes with hurricanes. It's like, it kind of like sweeps up everything, and then when it's gone, it's just really gorgeous for a couple of days. So, but you can see, I mean, there's definitely gusting winds. It's not terrible at this point. Like I said, I would not have done this if it felt dangerous by any means. I wanted to make some cool content for all of you, but I certainly did not want to put my life in danger to do it. So anyway, so it's, you know, it's adequate right now. But anyway, we will see how this works. 12.5.4 on our, sorry, I always forget to increase the visualization, but 12.5.4 on our Model 3, the hardware 3 car, was fabulous. big change. The last version I'd had previous to that was 12.3.6 on that car, and then there was a 12.5. something. I can't remember the number. I didn't get that, but that was the first one with the large number of parameters, and they had to distill it down. I talked about that in my other video at length, so I will, you know, I'll be posting. I don't know if I'll do both of them in the same day because the YouTube algorithm hates that. Good job. All right, nice. Yeah, as soon as it saw the car was leaving, oh, okay, that guy just, that was interesting. So I would not consider that the fault of the car. It was actually good on the car's part that it slowed down because that guy just suddenly decided he was not turning anymore. So that was actually good. I wasn't even paying attention to that at that point. So good on the car for noticing that guy just decided to bolt through. I think the car probably could have accelerated through because he was in the left lane, but still, caution, definitely the watchword. And I would think with degraded full self-driving that we might be talking about a situation where, you know, it might be a little bit less aggressive. Let me make sure. I think it's, yeah, it's in assertive. So it's in assertive mode, but I expect it to behave a little bit more cautiously because of the fact that it's bad weather. So a lot of cars are out. I'm actually a little bit surprised at that. I thought it would be completely dead empty, but anyway. My son said that their power's been out for a while, and a tree fell on their one of their power lines. We mostly have underground power in our neighborhood, so that actually is a big bonus. It keeps us from having as many power outages. But yeah, when you have a tree fall, that could be an all-day affair before they get around to fixing it, especially because everybody else at the same time is having the same problems. Okay, so pay attention here if you haven't watched this before. We're going to come around this bend. It's a 45 miles an hour. Most people drive about 55 on this stretch of road. Come around this bend. There is a sign, a tree, another sign, a barn, some junk right here. See all of this stuff, and then you have to, you know, get out. So you can see really well down that way, and then there's an entrance from the other side of the road as well. So there's a lot of different things that can go on. Oh, cool, we're actually following somebody. So I'm going to be interested when I put in a different destination. Let's see. Last time, the hardware 4 managed. Okay, let's see, what's it going to do? How's it going to handle this? I don't know if this guy's waiting on us because they're in a handicapped parking spot, but anyway, that was a little hesitant. That was interesting because that was the guy that kind of bolted in front of us. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel full self-drive. Oh man, it might have actually tried to park. That would have been cool. Sorry, let me, no, that guy's pulling in. Okay, I want to give this thing a chance to do the U-turn like it did last time. So let me go ahead and put in, I don't want to put in quite as far of a destination as I did last time, but let's do something kind of back in this area. Yeah, what is that? Only 1.1 miles. Yeah, we're going to keep this one relatively short since I did a long one yesterday, but let me make sure that we're going to have to make the left. Yep, okay. So we'll do that, and let's go ahead and I have no idea where we're going, by the way, but it needs to do a turn, a U-turn here. And hardware 3, this was the one failure of hardware 3 with 12.5.4, and oh, damn, look at that. It did it again. So it was not a fluke last time, and it's giving us a lot of room. There's a lot of branches out there. It did not visualize that, but it definitely like chilled about it. It was like, no, I'm not going to mess with that. Okay, so we actually have a lot of room on the left right now, but no, there's nobody coming on the left. And you'll notice I pay a lot of attention here because it's scary. When people come from the left, they come whipping around that. So the car should actually go now. It should go now. It should go now. And there are cars coming. So just as we started out, these cars started to come, but that was done. That was so good. This has actually been a significant, like in earlier versions, if you've seen me, you know, looking at that or doing test drives with that, that was a problematic intersection, and it really is handling it quite well now. And the hardware 3 version of the drive, which again you'll be able to see because I'll post both of these relatively like back and forth together, so I'm doing an A/B comparison in my head. But the hardware 3 car did really well. It was very, very busy, and notice that it's not getting anywhere close to the curb. That's good. It was very, very busy, and it just sat. It never twitched and tried to go when it couldn't go, and it waited until an opening came. Really, really good. A lot, and this was good too because it didn't wait a long time. It didn't sit there and get nervous. It was like, yep, now's the time I can go. And there were cars that came right around that corner, right as it, I mean, literally, like I was like go in my head. I was like press the accelerator, and as it did, you know, kind of following my thinking, the cars came around the corner, and it could have freaked out and tried to stop or something, but instead it just accelerated through, and it was able to get through easily, no problem at all. So it's also handling all of these cars out here very well. A little bit close in my mind. I wish that we would go over, when that truck was coming by, it made sense to be that close. I wish that we could be a little bit more over that direction when the vehicle is on its own, when there's nobody coming the other direction, just because you never know, somebody could walk out from behind the vehicle, or they could open a door. Opening the door is always my, like, sketchiest thing. And we have a very blind left side over here as we make this right-hand turn, but that again was handled very well. I don't expect there to be a ton of traffic today, but there could be some. Also, as we go over any low areas, so this will be interesting. Notice that this puddle is up here. I want to see how it handles this puddle, and I'm going to put my hands really close in case it freaks out. Okay, that was good. I mean, there wasn't really a puddle, but it looked like it might be a situation where there could be water on the road, and I didn't want the car to suddenly swerve out and decide, or brake. I mean, that was actually handled really well. Basically, I would have been cautious about that until I realized that we were in an area where it wasn't going to be, it was obvious it wasn't a puddle. I thought it was a puddle for a while. So, I don't think I've ever been back here before. This is a cool thing about doing these full self-driving drives. Oh dear. Well, I guess the gate's open. All right, now there's the speed bump here. Is it gonna see it? Is it gonna see it? Nope, it just went right over it. But it was okay. I mean, we were doing like, what, 18? So it was all right. Well, this is cool. I've never been back in this neighborhood, and I don't know that that thing's usually open. So the estates, wow, very, very swanky. So cool stuff. Wow, I like it back here. Very nice. I get to discover new neighborhoods around here. So I'm going to see what it does when it gets to the, oh, here's another tree down. So you can see, you know, oh, and it didn't, it slowed down for that. Okay, so it definitely saw that speed bump. Definitely see tree down here. So we're seeing some storm damage. It's not, certainly, I feel really bad for everybody who was on the coast because, man, that looked awful down there. So for everybody who's in the Florida Panhandle area, anywhere from Tampa on up, I hope that you guys all had a safe and dry night and hopefully escaped and like left and went somewhere else. Okay, now this is not an ideal place to stop, obviously, because we're like right in a driveway. So I love how it just kind of like we stopped and now it's just like, I don't know what it does. So now I don't know what it's going to do. Oh, it's looped itself around. So it's very odd how it just won't quit. I've noticed this in the latest builds that it doesn't really know when to stop, so it just keeps driving. So we'll see what happens. It looks like we're going to try to make a little bit of a loop here. And so we're getting a tour of this neighborhood, the estates. Very, very nice. And wow, cool. I don't know if it'll stop on the other side of the road because clearly that pin was dropped on the right-hand side of the road. So it should have just stopped on the right and just been done with it. But I'm thinking about this in the days of cyber cabs, robo-taxis, the 1010 event, which, you know, and I guess, you know, Dr. Scott Walter is going to be boots on the ground if nobody else is. I think there's several other people. Dirty Tesla, I saw, just got one last night too as well, so that's very cool. So anyway, there are folks that we know who are going to be going. There's a lot of folks who are not, but anyway, they should be boots on the ground and be able to give us very good reports on what's going on. So yeah, so I'm gonna stop this in just a minute, but all right. Yeah, that's not adequate. It needs to pull over. So I'm not exactly sure what it's doing there, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel the full self-driving and put in a new destination. Navigate to Anytime Fitness. Oops, that was... Navigate to Anytime Fitness. Sorry, I gave feedback when I didn't intend to. All right, so this should take us, let's see, 8 minutes. Good, that's a perfect amount of time. So we will go ahead and engage. Flip this over, and this shall take us on a few different things. So anyway, a lot of stop signs, but yeah, I mean, not hoping for, but I thought, well, actually, here we go. All right, I'm gonna keep my hands near the steering wheel in case. Here we go. I was just gonna say I wanted kind of a tree in the road. Now it did not, oh, it did visualize that as something. It saw it as a blob. But again, the visualization system is not the driving system anymore. The visualization system is something that's bolted on that takes a guess as to what the full self-driving computer is thinking about. So if you've been using ChatGPT 01 preview, if you've been using that, when it gives you that trace of what it's thinking about, that is kind of like what's going on here, a little bit different. But basically the computer itself, the end-to-end neural network, is just making decisions. And as my understanding is that the Tesla AI team has bolted on another neural network that attempts to understand what the driving network is thinking, because the driving network was just changed. By the way, really good. There were people coming, but it was far enough away that we could easily get out, so it wasn't too hesitant. That was great. But anyway, so the other network makes an attempt to understand what the driving network is thinking, because the driving network, it's just trained to get photons in. In other words, it takes in what it sees, and it comes with out pops controls. But there's nowhere in there for it to tell, you know, like, say to human, that car is there or something. So it's just doing its thing, and there's another network that then has to interpret the signals with what's going on. That's my understanding. It might be wrong, but that's my understanding, that that's the way they've done it. So it means that sometimes you just won't even see something, and yet the car will still react to it. But it did look like it visualized some blob there. It was able, you know, there must be some, like, before the last layer of the neural network would be the controls out, so brakes, accelerator, and turn the steering wheel. But the layer before that gives probabilities, at least if it behaves anything like every other neural network that's out there. But so the penultimate layer, not the last layer, but the penultimate layer, will provide information about probabilistic, you know, stuff. It's like, oh, I see things there, and that's why I'm doing this. It will provide some sort of information. Or alternatively, there may be, if there's a bunch of heads coming out of the neural network, well, we're going to get the green light here. So if there's heads coming out of the neural network, it might take that output from the trunk instead of from the heads, or from a different head anyway. But it's clearly doing some sort of interpretive dance based on what it thinks is going on. So there easily could be a mismatch between what the visualization sees, or shows us it's seeing, and the actual driving vehicle and what it sees. So it's really fascinating. Here's another area with water on the road, and handled that well. So I know, especially Scott has talked about that a lot in Florida, because they get so many big, you know, dumping rains, that they'll just get puddles randomly on the road. And earlier versions of full self-driving have been super skittish about that, and have you know, stopped or tried to at the last second go completely around it or something, when clearly the vehicle can go through it, because you can see kind of under it that it's only maybe an inch deep or something. It's not deep at all. There was a piece of junk in the road there. I was like, oh, don't hit that, don't hit that. But anyway, so yeah, now it should be a straight shot into well, to the gym. But let's see how it handles all these vehicles coming out. So even though it says full self-driving may be degraded, it has been, you know, very confident, appropriate level of confidence. It hasn't been like going crazy and accelerating like, you know, a bat out of hell or something. And it hasn't, you can see, I think this is a little more distance than it would normally give this red truck in front of us, the Chevy. So I think it's being a little more cautious, but it feels really good. I guess that's the best way to put it, right? I'm a passenger first and foremost right now. I'm monitoring the car, but again, because it's got it's got, you know, eye-based monitoring, head tracking, eye monitoring, stuff like that, I don't have to interact with the vehicle at all. And by the way, it does do sunglasses. It's just, there's no reason to have sunglasses, obviously, right now. But in the Model 3 test drive, I wore sunglasses the whole time, and it worked perfectly. Now, I will give the car a ding right now. It should be in the left lane. This is ridiculous to have followed the Silverado the whole time. I don't know why. That maybe it's because of the degraded thing, that it's decided that it's not going to get out into the other lane, but it's actually probably safer and certainly much more efficient for it to have been in the other lane, in the left lane, rather than the right. So yeah, I would say it feels like it's being a little it's not hesitant. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it feels like it's being gentle. It's trying not to accelerate too hard, because of course the roads are wet, so it can be very slippery. And this is good. I mean, you know, again, think about the way that this is being trained. The data that's flowing into this for inclement weather is from human beings first, and the human beings are going to drive in a more careful manner when the weather is bad. So they will give a bigger distance between vehicles. You will accelerate more slowly. By the way, that is another input and output in the system, is the inertial measurement unit. So we always talk about how we talk about how it's just cameras in, but it's not. It's cameras in plus the inertial measurement unit, the IMU, which is measuring acceleration forces. And those acceleration forces are
you know, it's trying to use those. It understands that when a human driver is in bad weather, they don't just punch it. You know, a good human driver, right? They don't just punch it and accelerate really fast. So the IMU is like receiving information that the acceleration profile is lower when the person is driving in bad weather than when they're driving in sunny, perfectly dry conditions. You can see the lights up there jiggling around and everything. So anyway, that's the kind of thing we're talking about, and it's incredible what we've got going on here. And we are just less than 2 weeks away from the 1010 event. It's will be Thursday in 2 weeks, and it feels like this version, and I'm not alone. I mean, there's been a lot of people on X that have been talking about how much better this version is. This is a winner. Like the hardware 3 blew my mind, because I was just like, there's no way that we're going to get good behavior on a hardware 3 vehicle, because it's so old. And by the way, huge props to Tesla, not just for doing such a great job with software to shoehorn that into, you know, again, 2017, 18 design, 2019 production. So it's a 5-year-old computer. So it's not just, I mean, the AI team, the software team is doing amazing, but the hardware team, when they designed that hardware 3 chipset, that was incredible. I mean, what a genius thing that they did. And you know, go Elon and go team for supporting that, because that's a crazy thing that you wouldn't expect. Now this is interesting, because the vehicle should not be stopping, and it should go here. I don't hear, okay. It took a very long time. It should have just rolled that. It shouldn't have gone through. So I'll give that a small ding for the fact that it should have fixed that. All right, and here we go. I'm not going to do the actually smart summon, because I did it, and well, maybe I'll do it at the far end. I might tack that on at the end. I'm obviously going to go to the gym first, so I'm curious where we're going. The end of the trips is still the thing that's like kind of failing. All right, so here's a puddle to go over. And it did that fine. It handled that no problem. It's a little bit close to the edge. So it should, you know, if it's doing like a robo-taxi thing, it should pull over there, or it should find a parking spot and pull into the parking spot. But either way, it's just kind of dinking around in the parking lot. So we'll see what happens here. Okay. All right, it's gonna go right into that tree branch. Okay, so now it's stuck because it can't go backwards, and I'm glad it's not gonna go into that tree. So it's not seeing that tree. I'm going to go ahead and disengage and turn off. Oh, it does. Okay, so see that? It's visualizing, so there's a tree branch there, and it's visualizing that as a blob, which is why it's not going in there. So that's actually really good. Let's see if it'll auto park. No, it's not going to right now. I think it just is. So anyway, the vehicle still does not go in reverse. That is a big downside to the car at this point. I'm actually surprised there's so many people at Anytime Fitness this morning, but hey, such is life. That's cool. I'm not the only one who's completely obsessed with working out all the time. So anyway, my thoughts. It's great. End of trips, still a problem, because it doesn't know when to stop. It's like, it's weird. It's like, come on, man, just stop. Just pick a spot and stop. So I will definitely ding it for that still. Obviously can't do reverse yet, but everything else, it felt really good. It handled the weather. You know, you can see the wind, you can see the rain, you can see the puddles on the ground, handled all of that stuff excellently. Yeah, like I said, I think this is a winner. There's still a few things to go. They need to merge it on the highway stack. So they got the sunglasses now with 12.5.4. Needs to get the highway stack on the new version, at which point I will test it on the highway. No sense right now. And it needs to be able to do reverse. And do things like automatically park and stuff, so that right now you have to stop the vehicle and then you have to park it. You have to, if you want to have it park itself, you have to stop it, push the button, press start. So there's several intervening steps that a human has to do, but it needs to be able to do that. And maybe to the extent that a person eventually will go, you know, take me to Anytime Fitness and park me in the parking lot, or take me to Anytime Fitness and drop me off at the door and then go park yourself, or take me to this place and drop me off at the door. There are multiple different end of ride scenarios that, as the Cybercab becomes something that, you know, maybe on 1010 they will start like letting people in Los Angeles take rides or something. I have no idea. But anyway, when that happens, those end of ride scenarios are going to have to be specified. Right now it's okay because I'm in the car and I can just pull into a parking spot or something. But it will absolutely not be okay when the vehicle is driving itself autonomously and the human just wants to get out and do their thing. So anyway, that's what I've got. I think that this is I mean, I really, again, I'm blown away. This is feeling like we are moving very rapidly towards the ability of the car to just go. I think
you know what? Even the little dings that I gave it about being a little too hesitant and not picking the right lane, none of that stuff is safety critical. The only thing that's critically important is that it needs to be able to back up if it gets stuck, and it needs to be able to park itself efficiently without a human intervening. So those two things, aside from that, doing great. Amazing work, Tesla AI team. I mean, geez, holy crap. Hardware, software, everything. You guys are incredible. Super, super appreciate what you're doing, and I love that I get to test it out. So anyway, let me know what you think. Watch the Hardware 3 video as well, and let's get to 100,000 subscribers for my birthday. It's late January. I'm going to turn 60. I'd love to get to 100K subscribers by the time I turn 60. So help me out. Subscribe. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.